Good morning, Portland. Scattered showers once again, and temperatures on the cool side, mid-40s out the door and only mid-50s this afternoon. Watch out for a hail shower as well.
A safe rest village for the homeless set to open as soon as next month. Multnomah Village could be the first of 6 in Portland.
President Biden is expected to discuss infrastructure when he visits Portland, Oregon later today.
The White House says Biden will talk about his efforts to, quote, continue bringing down costs for American families.
Good morning, everybody. It's 5:50. I got breakfast sandwiches, hot coffee, got some decaf.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I've been in this shelter from the beginning when it first opened. I'm 60 years old. I'm the oldest one in here. Want to get your shoes on? Brush your hair.
Brush my hair.
Oh, you want me to brush your hair now? Okay. Are you good at sharing? Do you know how to spell your name? Her name's Skylar. She's 5. Whenever I'm having a bad day, she come around and like, Mom, I love you. You're my best friend. Like, it just makes me so much better about my day. I'm Tiana. I'm 26 years old, and this is the tiny house that moves. And then this is my bed where I sleep, and there's where we drive and everything. The kitchen, you know, it's not the biggest, but then I got bunk beds over here. This is where Skylar's bed is, and it's where we keep our laundry usually. The first day I got it, the oven door kind of fell off. So we haven't been able to bake anything. We have a microwave and a stove, but it's not like I'd love to bake a tater tot casserole or a pizza or something. We were in a neighborhood where the neighbors didn't really like us because, you know, sometimes they get kind of mad about people in their RVs and stuff. And I told them the first night we pulled up there, they came out, I said, I'm pregnant, I'm working, I'm clean, you know, I just want a nice quiet place to sleep. Please, I won't cause you problems if you don't cause me problems. But eventually, I mean, we got our windows shot out. We had neighbors come out, like a gang of them against us, and were like telling us, you know, we'll pay you to leave. I'm like, okay, fine, we're going. Like, I didn't even want the money. I didn't even get the money. I just left, like, out of their way, okay? It's impossible to find anywhere to stay without one neighbor getting mad at you. We're getting on the freeway. Woo. Sometimes it would be nice to have like a more permanent home for water and power and all that. It's a little rough sometimes, yeah. We used to live in an apartment, but she calls it a compartment. She tells me she wishes we could go back to our compartment. You miss it? Yeah.
President Joe Biden will stop in Portland today to tout federal infrastructure spending.
My name is Susan Lind, and I'm thinking maybe he should come down and see how some of these people are living.
Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Mic check.
You guys hear us? Yep, I hear you.
This is a live picture from the Air National Guard base at PDX, where Air Force One is landing as we speak.
Maybe, you know, it'll bring a little reality to the situation.
This, of course, is President Biden's first visit to Oregon since taking office.
He'll talk up the big $1 trillion package he signed into law last fall.
And these people have no other place but to be here.
and it looks like the president is on the ground now.
He will be leaving momentarily from PDX. He will be heading to a private fundraiser at the Portland Yacht Club on Northeast Marine Drive.
This area really has been filled with police, Secret Service all day long, and looky-loos. Some were excited to see him. Others also said that they hoped Biden would see the reality that so many Portlanders are familiar with when it comes to homelessness in the city. People who live around here specifically mentioned that they hoped the president would pass the area of Marine Drive and 33rd Avenue, an area known for its homeless camps.
Bothers the heck out of me that there's this belief that we can't do big things anymore. But we can.
It's just really hard. It's rough, you know.
Anything's possible in America. Anything's possible. And that's what we're going to do today. Do what we are capable of doing. Stop feeling sorry for ourselves. Get the hell up and take this country back in a way that we lead the world again, because we can do it. I mean it. There's nothing beyond our capacity. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
One day, Portland will have to return to balance. We have to find some common ground, and I think that one day we will.
One day I'd love to be able to see supportive housing for anybody who wants it.
Walk a day in my shoes, my husband's shoes, getting told, you're scum, you're dirt, get a job, blah, blah, blah.
Because a lot can happen in one day, really. You wouldn't believe it, especially, you know, when people band together to help each other. We could get a lot done in one day.
One day I'm gonna have my own home, a job, a car, and I'm gonna actually be somebody.
One day I will take off and you will never see me homeless again.
Brush your hair. Oh, you want me to brush your hair now? Okay.
When we first met Tiana McMullen,
Are you good at sharing?
she and her daughter dreamed of living in an apartment.
This is the tiny house.
They wanted safety, stability, and were tired of being forced to move from one spot to the next
The kitchen, you know, it's not the biggest, but
in the crowded RV they called home.
sometimes it would be nice to have like a more permanent home for water and power and all that.
Yeah, come on, show them to your room.
Well, 1 month later,
She's the fast one.
we're happy to report that Tiana and little Skylar have a new place.
Yeah, this is it. This is the room. It's pretty big, actually. It's bigger than our last place, for sure.
Want to see the bathroom?
They moved into a family shelter called Lilac Meadows in southeast Portland.
We were afraid he could just break down the door and come in and kill us at night.
I was making people afraid. They're like, what is going on with her?
His parting shot was, and if you try to make me see a shrink, you'll never see me again.
Ultimately is the reality that we need to be focusing more on this system.
It shouldn't be easy to commit someone.
There are people that do slip through the cracks every single day, and that breaks my heart.
You know the term mental health crisis. People often call for expanded mental health care, more resources, saying we need to help people who are experiencing mental illness. I spent months looking into the civil commitment process, wanting to learn why some people with severe mental illness aren't getting the help that they need. After talking with people involved at all levels of this process, KGW discovered that high standards for forced care are fueling a cycle that fails to help people with severe mental illness. They're released from the hospital for not meeting state standards, but then on their own, they struggle to get the help that they need. What's left is a system with frustrating gaps and a community that's suffering for it. On May 24th, dozens of Portland police officers rushed to the MAX stop at Cascade Station, not far from the Portland International Airport. Investigators would later explain how a man named Marcus Tate took 2 people hostage on the MAX train, armed with a knife and a barbecue skewer. After a standoff and negotiations with Tate, a special police unit fired 2 flashbang grenades, stunning Tate before taking him into custody and rescuing the hostages. Tate pleaded not guilty to multiple felony charges. But there's more to that story. Police officers had stopped Tate just the night before. They said he had a physical altercation with officers during an apparent mental health crisis. Officers took Tate to the hospital for a mental health evaluation. Then he was released the very next morning, just hours before the incident on the MAX train. Tate's situation is far from unique, and it highlights a mental health system with frustrating gaps, especially when someone needs urgent mental health care and refuses to voluntarily seek help. KGW analyzed court and government records. We found less than 7% of people in Multnomah County who were considered dangerous enough to warrant a forced mental health hold received a civil commitment ruling from a judge. Police also report that Brenda Gardner says in the case of her son Eric, her family ran out of options for help.
A lot of the problem is that the laws were changed so that their civil rights are what is all important, and their safety is not.
Gone too far that direction.
Way too far that direction.
If someone refuses treatment, housing, or help, she says we've accepted a system that fails to help people when they need it.
And as far as I'm concerned, the homeless situation is an open-air psych ward. It's those people that should be in psychiatric facilities or in supported housing with a caseworker that checks on them, are instead living on the streets and being treated like animals.
I'm Brittany Folkers. I am an anchor and reporter at KGW. It's just such an important topic. It's an important part of ourselves that we really need to pay attention to. And how can it not? Our mental health is just paramount to who we are and how we're navigating through the world. I mean, I've probably been dealing with depression and anxiety my entire life without really knowing about it, just always been there. I started recognizing it when I went to college. It got to the point where I wasn't getting out of bed. I was frozen and I needed help. And just taking that first step that I thought was going to be the worst thing in the world sent me on a journey to discovering my own depression, my anxiety. So I've been living with it and confronting it, I guess, since I was about 18, 19 years old. And it's been a journey. There have been some really great high highs, and there have been some super, super painful lows, and I'll continue to deal with that for the rest of my life, but I will never regret confronting it. And I know that in dealing with it has made me so much stronger. I don't know if I'd be here if I didn't do that. So I've done different rounds of therapy. I can't just talk to my friends and family about it. I need more. I need somebody else to help guide me and talk me through ways to deal with my mental health. Medication has been a really important part of my mental health journey. I have allergies. I take an allergy pill every single day. I have depression, so I take a depression pill every single day. It is hard to deal with your mental health. It takes time, it's exhausting, but it is so amazing when you can feel like you're making it through. It really helps. It helps make you stronger in the long run.
Yeah, she wanted to go to Hollywood. She wanted to be a star.
17-year-old Nikki Kuhnhausen was magnetic, full of personality. She loved making videos on TikTok and wanted to be a makeup artist to the stars one day.
She wanted to graduate from high school. She wanted to do a lot of stuff. She had plans and dreams.
But her young life was cut short in 2019. Nikki had gone out for a walk in Vancouver late in the night on June 5th. She met a 25-year-old construction worker named David Bogdanov. They exchanged Snapchat accounts, then parted ways. But hours later, the two communicated on Snapchat and arranged to meet back up. Investigators say during a sexual encounter, David discovered Nikki was transgender. He strangled her to death with a cell phone charging cord, then drove to Larch Mountain in East Clark County and dumped Nikki's body off a Forest Service road. For months, Nikki's friends and loved ones had no idea what had happened to her.
I knew something was wrong, and it turns out something was wrong.
Knowing that a trans teenager and a trans female teenager was missing, those stories don't usually end very well.
Then, in December of 2019, 6 months after Nikki disappeared, human remains were discovered on Larch Mountain.
Very quickly it was obvious that yes, we had a human body out here, or remains of a human body. We called the medical examiner.
Officials determined the remains belonged to Nikki Kuhnhausen, and detectives notified her family.
And I just fell to my knees, and the next thing I know, he was holding me, rocking me, saying how sorry he was.
Detectives learned that Nikki left her residence on June 5th. She returned early in the morning on June 6th and left again a few hours later. There were no further contacts or sightings of Nikki since that time.
Police say a Vancouver teenager missing since this summer has been found dead.
In January of 2020, prosecutors Kristen Arnault and Colin Hayes were assigned to represent the state in David Bogdanov's trial. Right away, they started debriefing with detectives on the case, doing as much research on the investigation as they could.
You know, when an arrest first comes in, they, of course, do a probable cause statement, or at least in this county, in this state, they do that. So that's, you know, a real quick blurb about what the case is. So you read that, talk to the detectives, and then, you know, as you find time, read through the reports as they come in.
Based on the evidence, prosecutors charged David with second-degree murder.
Because of the way the facts laid out, that we didn't know his story about how everything happened, we weren't able to charge murder in the first degree because we didn't know how everything went down. We knew that it had gone down, but we didn't know the exact pattern or anything like that, so we weren't going to be able to prove premeditation.
What they did have is the cell phone cord found at Larch Mountain, where Nikki's remains were discovered. The cord was knotted around hair and a piece of bone from Nikki's neck. Prosecutors also knew David's phone had pinged in the same area the morning Nikki was with David. And they had those statements David made in his first police interview about gay and trans people.
Like I said, when I found out that that's who she is, and I don't know how I didn't catch on sooner, but it must have been because I was so drunk, drinking all night, you know, and then when the subject came up somehow, whatever way that was, I just got disgusted and I asked her to just get out. So for me, it's just very disturbing and disgusting when people are like this. I don't know.
All of these pieces helped prosecutors begin to form a picture that this murder was fueled by bias.
And bottom line, you do feel he killed Nikki because she was trans?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So the state added a second charge in the case, something called malicious harassment, which is Washington's hate crime charge. Nikki's death inspired loved ones and advocates to push for a change in state law.
It should not be a legal justification for violence.
They introduced legislation called the Nikki Kuhnhausen Act that bans the so-called gay or trans panic defense in Washington.
What this bill does, it removes a possible defense for the kind of thing that happened to Nikki.
According to the LGBTQ+ Bar Association, the panic defense is a legal strategy that asks a jury to find a victim's sexual orientation or gender identity to blame for a defendant's violent reaction, including murder. A defendant claims that it not only explains, but excuses a loss of self-control and the subsequent attack.
Well, sadly, Nikki's Law isn't going to stop violence against transgender individuals. As we talked about in the first segment, we saw an assault at Kalama High School. But what do you hope, Lyndon, that Nikki's Law does achieve?
Yeah, I do hope that Nikki's Law achieves cultural awareness to the fact that this is a challenge that the trans community still faces, that violence against gay and trans people is still something that we are dealing with in 2022.
In Central Oregon's majestic Cascade Mountain Range stands Mount Bachelor, a world-class ski resort in the winter. It brings surprising adventures in the summer. Is this an adventure?
Yes, it is.
And where are they headed?
Well, we're heading up to the piano.
Up here?
Yes.
And yes, as they climb this mountain, the unexpected sound of music. From a piano, a 1912 9-foot Steinway grand piano, perfectly poised 8,000 feet above the valley floor.
This is the greatest.
As pianist Hunter Nowak transforms the surrounding mountain range into an outdoor classical music concert hall.
What an incredible place to listen to beautiful music. We're groupies.
Concert goers traveling from around the region, perched next to lingering patches of snow under bluebird skies.
It's amazing. It really is amazing.
And so the music becomes a soundtrack to their experience in this landscape.
We're packing up and hitting the road, but don't worry, we're not going far, just across the Columbia, where Clark County is having a glow-up.
What we've seen is this major shift of Vancouver becoming its own destination.
Tonight we're doing the entire show from Clark County, an area that's seen a huge amount of growth lately.
We're growing quickly. 5,000 people move here a year. A lot of them are from Multnomah County.
What is it about this community that makes it so special?
We have the parks, we have the trails, we have livability issues, very similar to Portland. It's just a little bit different, maybe a little bit calmer.
But with growth comes growing pains.
They need the reliability that they can get over that bridge in a timely manner.
Here's The Story on the road, live in Clark County.
What is good, everyone? Welcome to Sports Sunday. Toga, toga, toga. Where's the toga, Art?
Man, I'm not wearing a toga. No.
This is awkward. I'll get one for you. Just wait. I got you.
You know you make me wanna take my
Oh, yeah. I know it. Even Joey Harrington is wearing a toga. Where is your toga, Art?
Not wearing one.
You want to dance?
Nobody wants to see that.
Oh. Okay, well, there was a party in Eugene, Art, the University of Oregon. In the national spotlight, fans lined up overnight.
The Pacific Northwest is filled with haunted folklore and old-time crime, from an axe murderess to grave robbers and a bridge ghost. Check out Wicked West on KGW+. Add it to your Roku or Fire TV today.
I'm Ashley Korslin. Welcome to Wicked West, a series that explores mysterious folklore of the Pacific Northwest and tales of old-time crime. Our first story is set in the 1850s as settlers moved out to the American West. That's where a wife and mother became the first woman to be charged with murder in the new Oregon Territory. Here's the axe murderess.
In May of 1854, the Lamb family gathered around the dinner table in their small cabin. They had settled in Clackamas in the new Oregon Territory after the incredibly difficult journey on the Oregon Trail. Nathaniel Lamb sat at the head of the table, surrounded by his children. His wife, Charity, stepped outside the cabin and retrieved an axe from a woodpile. As the story goes, she came back inside holding her new baby in one arm and the axe in the other. Charity swung it into the back of Nathaniel's head twice. Charity's murder trial would last for 6 days. The judge, the prosecutor, and jurors were all men. Women had virtually no rights during this time. They wouldn't be allowed to vote in Oregon for another 60 years.
You were often, property, a little more than property.
It's 8:58 on a Wednesday morning,
Never know when they're gonna wake up.
and shoplifters are already stealing.
But it's insane.
Portland police officers are conducting a retail theft mission to crack down on this citywide epidemic, when suddenly, a suspected shoplifter takes off from the Mall 205 parking lot in southeast Portland in a stolen truck. An officer throws spike strips.
Just spiked it again and lost control. Get code 3 medical. It's gonna go westbound on Burn, but it lost control.
The driver crashes, then goes running, but doesn't get far. She's facing felony charges. Inside the truck,
We found a whole bunch of stolen property from Target, mostly.
police recover a bag full of clothing, tags still attached, along with cosmetics.
But yeah, it's those creams and the nail stuff. I mean, it's worth a lot of money.
The 24-year-old woman admits she sells stolen goods to anybody willing to pay.
The retail brand is $10, you get it for $5. Of course you're gonna want that.
She explains shoplifting is a way to feed her fentanyl drug habit.
We have situations where a shoplifter will actually just say, "You're not going to prosecute me. I'm not going to go to jail."
And in most shoplifting cases, that's true. Data obtained by KGW shows so far this year, the prosecution rate for misdemeanor petty theft cases in Portland, which include shoplifting, is 46%. That means less than half of the theft 2 or theft 3 cases sent to the Multnomah County DA's office by police are charged. Most cases are dismissed. And the criminals, they seem to understand they're unlikely to be prosecuted in Multnomah County compared to other jurisdictions. This is an actual recording of a phone call between a woman being held in the Washington County Jail on theft charges and her boyfriend.
Do you want to fight it or what?
Well, I mean, if it was in Multnomah County, like, you would have got released already. It's up.
I know. It's because it's Washington County.
And when this suspect, arrested on theft charges, realized he was in neighboring Clackamas County,
Where are we going?
Clackamas County Jail. You ever been there?
What?
You ever been to Clackamas County Jail?
No.
Well,
man, where's the line for Clackamas? Oh, man.
I know, he screwed up.
the data shows Multnomah County DA Mike Schmidt is prosecuting far fewer misdemeanor theft cases than his counterparts. In Washington County, the DA has filed charges in 93% of the cases, and police are referring a lot more cases. Clackamas County prosecuted 84% of the petty theft cases.
Why aren't you going after shoplifting as aggressively as your counterparts?
Well, we issue cases that we can prove. That's first and foremost.
Hi, and welcome to this special edition of Let's Get Out There. I'm John Goodwin, and I have a pretty sweet job. I get to combine two of my loves. One, getting outside with people who love the outdoors, and two, getting to create and share these stories with you. Now in this special, we'll take you to the top of 3 awe-inspiring Cascade Peaks.
So it's interesting, these alpine climbs that start at midnight, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, they can have a definite effect on your psyche. And so that's part of the adventure, I think.
An alpine start at the Timberline parking lot combines sleep deprivation with an overflow of adrenaline. Somewhere up there in the darkness sleeps Mount Hood, or is known by its Native American name, Y East.
I see the pickets.
The plan is to summit Mount Hood.
Go. Have you just go straight up.
We push up to the right chute of the pearly gates, where you're surrounded by wind-blown rime ice. It's stunning, but imagining chunks of it falling off as you climb isn't very fun.
You are now off the way,
okay?
Mountaineering is a very specific activity, and it takes something special. All the guts and focus and determination and concentration and faith and hope and all the things that life throws at you.
Pushing through, getting up after a fall. And the exhaustion melted away by satisfaction. Taking in the view wasn't what I'll take away. It's the makeup of this selfless team of strong women.
Historically, mountain rescue doesn't have a lot of women involved in it. And I am incredibly proud of this training class because we have such incredibly strong women.
I wasn't lucky enough to grow up here in the Pacific Northwest, but when I moved here, I knew what a special place it was. It's hard to even put into words the scale of beauty here. Things exist on a scale that I had never seen before. The far-reaching landscapes, whether it's the coast, the high desert, the valleys, it's all mind-blowingly beautiful. With all the beauty that surrounds us, there's an element of risk. Climate change is one of the biggest environmental threats any of us will face in our lifetimes. Something we're experiencing in our everyday lives, whether that's wildfire smoke, droughts, or record-breaking heat waves. Climate anxiety can come in a lot of different forms, whether that's dread from reading the latest report on how bad the crisis has gotten, to a feeling of guilt when you're filling up your car at a gas station. For me personally, it kind of feels like a pit in my stomach where I look at the scope of the problem, just how vast it is, and you can feel almost powerless. But that's one of the reasons why I look for stories that aren't just about how bad it's gotten, but what solutions are out there? What can we as individuals do to change what's going on systemically? When I come to work every day, I make it my mission to find the people that can help inform you. Academic researchers, scientists, experts on ecology. And I'm trying to bring the solutions that they have so that you can make informed decisions about what kind of world you want to see in the future.
Oregon's Beachy Creek wildfire was heartbreaking. We all just wanted to help. This is John Walter. He and forestry crews are helping by replanting millions of trees in the Santiam State Forest. I think it's really important that we do stories like this because not everyone sees the recovery step by step. When we're challenged, our communities work together and we come back stronger than ever.
My name is Mariah A. Taylor, and I'm 81 years old. Every Wednesday, I load up my van, hundreds of pounds of food, sometimes it's more than 800 pounds of food, to feed the homeless. The KGW Great Food Drive helps people like me feed people. It is so important. This year, give with your heart.
Right now, the KGW Great Food Drive is going on. If you can help, please give at kgw.com/food-drive. If you need help, go to OregonFoodFinder.org and find food near you.
Last month, we asked you to give with your heart to help people who need food. Together, we raised 2 million meals. That is awesome. Because you took the time to give, families are getting food and people are getting help.
Drew, it's time to flip the switch. For kids!
It's magic time.
Now's the time
To donate toys.
For kids!
Let's do this! Hey, you on the street, we need your help! For kids everywhere.
Help keep the magic of the season alive.
Please give to the KGW Great Toy Drive at kgw.com/toy. Collecting toys for kids.
Now that's magical. Yeehaw!
Listen up, gang.
It's time for the Parade of Toys!
All month, we asked you to help local kids by giving to the KGW Great Toy Drive.
Thank you!
Boy, did you deliver. Your donations are going to more than 150 nonprofits.
Thank you!
All to help families have a fantastic holiday.
Thank you!
Now that's the magic of giving.